President. The Prime Minister will start with a few remarks.
Merci beaucoup, everybody. Thank you very much. I'd like you to just bear with me a moment if you could. Obviously, I'm here to talk about some of the issues affecting this industry and also to take some questions. But we have some important developments in the world that I know are of great concern to many of us. And I know the media would like me to speak to these matters while I'm here. So if I just could. La situation en Ukraine demeure extrêmement grave pour la paix et la sécurité internationale. Le Canada et ses partenaires du G7 ont parlé d'une seule voix en condamnant l'intervention militaire du président Poutine en Ukraine. Nous demandons encore une fois au président Poutine de retirer immédiatement ses troupes. Les gestes du président Poutine mènent son pays vers un isolement diplomatique et économique qui pourrait bien donner lieu à l'exclusion complète de la Russie du G8. Le Canada a suspendu son engagement en préparation au sommet du G8 qui devait se tenir à Sochi. Nous avons également appelé notre ambassadeur en Russie à annuler la représentation du gouvernement aux Jeux paralympiques et j'ai demandé à nos responsables d'examiner toutes les interactions bilatérales prévues avec la Russie. Je souligne également la résolution présentée au Parlement aujourd'hui et j'espère qu'elle soit adoptée immédiatement par tous les partis politiques. Okay. Nous continuerons à travailler étroitement avec nos alliés et nos partenaires du G7. Je viens de parler aujourd'hui avec le Premier ministre de l'Ukraine et j'ai passé ce message à la population de l'Ukraine. Le Canada garantit son amitié et son soutien indéfectible aux efforts que vous déployez pour défendre votre souveraineté et rétablir la stabilité économique et politique. And I'll just repeat that. The situation in Ukraine remains extremely serious for global peace and security. Canada and its G7 partners have spoken with one voice in condemning President Putin's military intervention in Ukraine. We call once again on President Putin to immediately withdraw his military. President Putin's actions have put his country on a course of diplomatic and economic isolation that could well see Russia exit the G8 entirely. Canada has suspended our engagement in preparations for the G8 summit planned in Sochi. We have also recalled our ambassador to Russia, canceled any government representation at the Paralympic Games, and I've instructed officials to review all planned bilateral interaction with Russia. I would also note the resolution put before Parliament today and encourage its immediate passage by all political parties. We will continue to work closely with our G7 partners and our allies. I've also spoken today with the Prime Minister of Ukraine, and I've said the following to the people of Ukraine on behalf of Canadians. Canada pledges ongoing friendship and steadfast support for your efforts to defend your sovereignty and to restore economic and political stability.
Prime Minister, thank you for being here today, taking busy time out of your busy schedule. I'd also like to let you know I'm no Peter Mansbridge, so it's my first public interview.
I was going to say that's not all bad.
Any help would be appreciated. In the history of the Prospectors Development Association of Canada, we've never had hosted a Prime Minister, and we're very pleased to welcome you to the PDAC International Convention, Trade Show, and Investors Exchange. PDAC Convention the PDAC Convention is the world's largest annual mineral industry event. Last year we hosted more than 30,000 delegates who joined us from 126 countries. And as an association we have more than 10,000 members from both Canada and around the world. My honor and privilege to sit with you and engage in the discussion that we at the PDAC are passionate about, which is of course exploration and mining. And over the next hour or so, we will cover a broad range of topics that are important and relevant to our members and our audience here today. So again, we thank you for being here. Before we start, I would like to let the audience know that the Prime Minister has not been privy to any of these questions. And during our discussion, please note that unfortunately we will not be able to entertain questions from the audience. And so why don't we start at a high level and drill down, at a high level view, and go down to some things that are important to us. Well, Prime Minister, we naturally believe that the work we do is tremendous value to Canadians and the national economy. The sector contributes billions of dollars each year to government revenue through tax revenue and royalty payments, employs more than 300,000 Canadians, and generates billions of dollars of investment. Most of the leading companies are headquartered in Canada, and we produce some of the top experts in the field. And this very city, Toronto, is the global center of mining finance. To begin, in your own words, how would you characterize the value of the exploration and mining sector to Canada's economic and social development?
Well, first of all, thank you, Rod, and thanks to Ross, and thanks to everybody here for the invitation to attend. I've wanted to do this for some time. I see that a lot of my ministerial and parliamentary colleagues are here and have been coming here regularly and encouraged me to do so. And I felt I was overdue until I found out today I'm the first sitting Prime Minister to actually come here. So thank you for the opportunity. And maybe, Rod, just before I get into that question, I did bring a few slides, a few PowerPoint overheads I'd just like to show people where we maybe get onto some issues specific to the sector. I just want to kind of make sure everybody has a pretty clear view of the Canadian economy and our relatively good performance. I know many of you are familiar with these things, but I don't think we can say them often enough. So I'll just run through these quickly. First of all, on the job creation front, you should be aware, if you're not, that Canada continues to have, over the past several years, the best job creation record among the major advanced economies. This particular overhead shows the record since we came to office in 2006, and you see we've got almost 9% growth in jobs over that period. A lot of that post-recession. The recession was relatively shallow here, ended relatively quickly. Many other countries, as you can see, have very poor job creation over that period. And just so you know, you sometimes hear the jobs, well, they're all low-paying, they're all low skills. That's not actually true. Particularly since the recession, just to show you the facts, of the nearly 1 million, or over nearly 1,100,000 net new jobs created in Canada since the recession, 71% are high-wage jobs, 87% are full-time, and 80% are in the private sector. And as I said, it's now 1,000,001 net new jobs. This is underscored by GDP growth. Chart here shows real per capita disposable income, which since 2006 has been well ahead of other countries, which is why you have seen the kind of increase in middle class wealth that Statistics Canada demonstrated last week in its report. A subject I know is of interest to every business group I talk to, and that's taxation. A big change over the past 8 years is that Canada has gone from one of the highest rates of taxation on new business investment in the G7 to now having the lowest. This is a big advantage for our country and underscores the fact that we have had the investment results to prove it. I think that's on our next overhead. No, sorry, we're skipping that one. We're going to balance. Just to remind you, our government's goal, one of our central economic goals in the most recent Economic Action Plan 2014, and obviously the plans in this Parliament, has been to return Canada to a fiscal balance after the recession. You see we've made steady progress, and the year to come, the budget will be getting very close to balanced. And we've done that, friends, through controlling spending. I think you should just understand where spending actually goes in the federal government. We make significant transfers to persons, principally through old age security, but all other programs as well. We transfer money to the provinces for healthcare and education. None of those transfer programs have been reduced. We have
managed to balance our budget by controlling our own federal program spending, which is the blue line, which, as you can see, is actually below the level it was when we returned to Parliament. And finally, we're doing all this to make sure we can keep Canada's debt low. Canada has today, by far, the lowest debt burden in the major developed economies. This shows projections out to 2018 in which Canada will continue to remain the lowest. And the relative debt burden we have is already declining. Our debt burden didn't go up very much during the recession because we had a surplus and a low debt burden prior to the recession, and it's now already beginning to fall, and we plan to reduce it to 25% of GDP in the 21-22 period, which would be considered a very, very safe long-term range. So I just wanted Ross to